So another congressional hearing just turned into one of the most heated clashes we've seen over the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, government transparency, and whether the American people are getting the full truth. What started as a straightforward oversight hearing quickly became something much bigger. Because this wasn't just about whether Donald Trump's name appears in documents connected to Jeffrey Epstein. It wasn't just about court orders or sealed records. And it wasn't even just about one disagreement between a member of Congress and the FBI director. The conversation quickly became a broader debate over transparency, accountability, victims' rights, and whether the federal government has done enough to answer the questions that continue to surround one of the most notorious criminal cases in modern American history. Then Representative Dan Goldman took the floor. What happened next completely changed the tone of the hearing. Instead of asking broad political questions, Goldman pressed FBI Director Kash Patel point by point about what records remain unreleased, what legal restrictions actually exist, and whether the FBI has exhausted every available avenue to make more information public. Take a look.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from New York is recognized. Mr. Goldman.
Mr. Patel, does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
It's not a complicated question. Does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I didn't say it was a complicated question. I just didn't hear you, so my apologies. We have released where President Trump's name's in the Epstein files and everybody else, and all credible information that we are legally allowed to release has been released.
All right, so let's go through that. You're referring to court orders that prohibit you from releasing grand jury testimony under Rule 6E. Is that what you're referring to when you say as the law allows?
That's a piece of it.
Really? What other evidence do those three court orders you cited prohibit from being released?
Information that was collected pursuant to those search warrants that were limited
Wrong.
in fashion.
Wrong. That's
Okay.
not what the court order says, and that's not under 6E.
And you're talking, and I said that's 6E, and I said there was others, and I'm answering that. There are sealed court order documents. There are protective orders.
They are unsealed as part of discovery given to Ghislaine Maxwell. They are no longer sealed.
That's just not true. We can argue about it all you want.
Okay, well, you agree that there are, so your testimony here is that the reason why you are not releasing all of the videos that you have acknowledged, there are so many, and that the FBI spent thousands of hours of reviewing, the photographs, the photographs that you have. You're saying that you're not releasing those because there's a court order requiring them to be sealed? Is that your testimony?
I never said that about the videos. On the totality of the videos, of the thousands of images that were seized pursuant to the search warrants executed at the time, the overwhelming majority of that video is pornographic material that was downloaded from the internet and child sexual abuse material. We will never release that.
Well, as you should not release the victims, but if there are videos that relate to others who Epstein trafficked to, such as maybe Prince Andrew, or photographs, that you have total control to release.
Yes, and if it exists.
And so why haven't you released it?
Why are you supposing that that is a fact when in fact it is false? Are you saying that
You're saying that none of the videos relate to anything relevant to the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking ring?
Every single video that we have collected pursuant to the prior search warrants has been examined for the last 10 years. And every single video has been utilized for whatever prosecutions were able to be legally brought.
I'm not asking about prosecutions. I'm asking about why you aren't releasing the full Epstein files, including the names of people who were involved in the sex ring that you promised to do before you became FBI director.
I just told you I'm not going to release downloaded porn of
I'm not
children
asking
on the
about
internet.
that. Fine. I'm asking about all the other files.
What other videos? Tell me. Tell me.
That's what I'm asking.
Tell me.
You're saying there are no videos that would be relevant to anyone else involved in the Jeffrey Epstein sex work.
Pursuant to Mr. Acosta's collection of information based on the search warrants. That's all we have in our
I
possession.
understand, and I'm asking you, that stuff.
That's all we got.
I'm not asking all you got. I'm asking you, in that stuff, there's nothing that's related to to any other sex traffic, any other people engaged with Epstein in underage sex.
That's correct. To my knowledge, no.
Okay, let's talk about the witness interviews, 302s of witness interviews. Those are not subject to the court order. Those are not subject to any fictional sealed order for a search warrant. Why aren't you releasing those with the redacted names of the victims?
We are releasing as much as legally allowed. That's why we went back to
How
the
is
courts.
that? How is that not legally allowed?
Sir, do you know how court orders work? Do you know how protective orders
Actually,
work? Do you know how
Mr.
sealing
Patel,
orders
I was
work?
a real prosecutor for 10 years. I know exactly how.
So I was a
court
fake
orders.
one?
And I want to understand what the court order prevents you from releasing witness statements that the FBI took.
You should know that as a real prosecutor, when the court hand downs a protective order and a motion to seal, the material is sealed unless
So
that
your
judge
testimony
waives
here
it.
is that all of those witness statements are under a court order, a protective order.
We are providing everything we can legally provide.
No, that's not my question. My question is, why are those witness statements that are not grand jury testimony, that if they were under a protective order are no longer under a protective order, why are they not being released?
How are they not under a protective
Why
order?
are you not going to the court like you did for the grand jury testimony to unseal those
The
records?
DOJ did go to the court.
No, not on those records. Why aren't you going? You just went on grand jury.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You are hiding the Epstein files,
Time
Mr.
of the gentleman
Patel.
has expired.
You are part of the cover-up.
Can I respond?
Sure can.
Any allegations that I'm a part of a cover-up to protect child sexual trafficking and victims of human trafficking and sexual crimes is patently and categorically false in the work of my
So I
efforts
hope you will
shows it.
talk to them when they
Gentlemen's
have
time has
requested
expired.
to speak with you. Because the
Gentlemen's time has
victims have
expired. Gentleman
requested
yields
and you are
back.
not responding to them.
Director, yes or no? Is yes.
Welcome back to Winners Breakdowns. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. We break down the biggest hearings coming out of Washington, separate the fact from the political spin, and give you the full context behind the headlines. If you enjoy detailed political analysis, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button because it really helps the channel grow, turn on notifications so you never miss another major hearing. And after you've watched this video, I want to hear your opinion down in the comments below. Do you think Representative Goldman raised legitimate questions about transparency? Or do you think Director Patel sufficiently explained why additional records cannot legally be released? Let's keep the discussion respectful and dive into what happened. Ladies and gentlemen, this exchange immediately stood out because it wasn't simply another partisan argument. At its core, it revolved around a question that has lingered for years. How much information related to Jeffrey Epstein can legally be made public? And has the government done everything it can to provide answers? Goldman opened with a direct question about whether Donald Trump appears anywhere in the Epstein files. Patel responded that the FBI and the Department of Justice had already released everything they are legally permitted to disclose. From there, however, Goldman challenged that explanation. Drawing on his background as a former federal prosecutor, he argued that not every category of investigative material is necessarily protected by grand jury secrecy or court orders. He repeatedly questioned why additional witness interview reports, investigative records, or other materials could not be released with appropriate redactions to protect victims. Patel answered that multiple legal restrictions apply, including protective orders and sealed court records, and stressed that the FBI cannot simply disregard those judicial requirements. The hearing then shifted to evidence collected during the investigation. Patel explained that a significant portion of the material consists of child sexual abuse material and downloaded pornography, emphasizing that such evidence will never be released, both to comply with the law and to protect victims. Goldman made clear that he was not requesting explicit material or information that would expose victims. Instead, he focused on whether there were investigative records or evidence involving other individuals that the public had not yet seen. Patel responded that, to the best of his knowledge, there was no unreleased evidence in the FBI's possession establishing additional criminal conduct beyond what had already been investigated and used where legally appropriate. Watching this exchange, what stood out to me most was how differently each side approached the issue. Goldman concentrated on transparency and public accountability. His questions reflected the view that, whenever legally possible, investigative records should be disclosed to strengthen public confidence and answer long-standing questions surrounding the Epstein case. Patel, on the other hand, emphasized the legal constraints under which the FBI operates. His position was that investigators cannot release information simply because there is public interest if doing so would violate court orders, protective orders, or laws designed to safeguard victims and preserve the integrity of judicial proceedings. From the perspective of many Democratic commentators, Goldman's line of questioning reflected an important principle. Government agencies should be as transparent as the law allows, especially in high-profile cases that have generated years of speculation and public mistrust. Supporters of that perspective argue that transparency helps rebuild confidence in institutions and demonstrates that no individual, regardless of wealth, status, or political influence, is above scrutiny. At the same time, protecting victims must remain paramount. No effort to increase transparency should come at the expense of exposing survivors or releasing material that could further harm those already affected by these crimes. That balance is one of the central challenges highlighted during this hearing. Another notable moment came when Goldman questioned why the Department of Justice had sought to unseal certain grand jury materials but had not pursued additional records in the same way. Patel maintained that the government was releasing everything legally permitted, while Goldman suggested more could be done within existing legal procedures. As the exchange grew more confrontational, Goldman accused Patel of participating in a cover-up. Patel strongly rejected that allegation, calling it categorically false and defending the work of FBI personnel who investigate child exploitation and human trafficking. Whether viewers agree more with Goldman or Patel, this hearing underscored why congressional oversight matters. Members of Congress have a responsibility to ask difficult questions of executive branch officials, and agency leaders have a responsibility to explain their decisions under oath. The larger issue extends beyond any one political figure. It concerns public trust, the handling of sensitive investigations, and ensuring that justice is pursued while respecting both the rule of law and the rights of victims. In the end, that's what made this hearing so significant. It wasn't merely about one name or one document. It was about transparency, accountability, and the public's expectation that institutions explain how they reach decisions in cases of extraordinary public interest. Now I want to hear from you. Did Representative Goldman raise important questions that deserved clearer answers? Did Director Patel adequately explain the legal limitations facing the FBI? What additional steps, if any, should the government take to increase transparency while continuing to protect victims? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Winner's Breakdowns, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next in-depth analysis of the biggest political hearings and debates coming out of Washington. Thank you for watching, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.